Do not call Jay for any party planning tips. That's not his jam.
Welcome back. Best hour of their day. We're recording. We are recording today. We are not live. If you want to check us out live, Wednesdays on YouTube, 4 p.m. Eastern. But this is a really important episode because chances are, if you're listening to this mid to end of November, you've got a holiday party scheduled.
'Tis the season, as they say.
Hanukkah is upon us.
I can't wait for Hanukkah. It's my favorite time of year. Do
you do a Hanukkah party at the box or Christmas party?
We do a Hanukkah party every day here.
You celebrate 365 Hanukkah?
All the time. You can't tell, but I'm wearing a yarmulke right now. But my glasses are actually they're my version of a yarmulke.
I was reading about it was the comedy special.
You're at Temple reading.
Well, Ari Shaffir has a new comedy special called Jew, and he was like, Jews are so smart. They're like, women would be like, well, we have to cover our hair, so how about we just wear a wig and use somebody else's hair to cover our head? Men are like baseball caps, all that stuff. So you're using your sunglasses as a yarmulke. I like it.
Covers my maybe potential bald spot. Now,
you're good.
I think I'm have a good head of hair for a while and no grays for a little bit.
If you've still got it in your 40s, you're good. So let's dig in. I think this is an important episode for box owners to hear because do you think most affiliates have a holiday party?
I would have no idea how to gauge that, but here's what I would say. I think most affiliates could run their holiday party much better.
100% agree with that. So let's give some best practices. First of all, if you're listening to this when it comes out, you've probably waited too long to tell your members about your holiday party.
Well, depends on what year we're referring to. If we're talking about prepping for 2023, you have plenty of time.
How far in advance do you talk about your holiday party?
Well, it's a little different for us because it's now essentially a known date moving forward, right? So essentially, like everybody knows 1 year in advance, it's going to be around the same time, right?
So you put it out there a year out.
Well, we kind of let everybody know same time next year, and then we'll typically do something early in the year, like a State of the Union type address. We'll give a broad overview of the plans for the year. I don't suggest if you're going to do that, you give hard dates because the likelihood of those dates shifting is not low.
Yeah, I think a year out is there's definitely potential for something to get in the way, but you are putting it out there.
But there's a difference between like bringing general awareness versus like I'm now in promotion stage, which we'll talk about. But the general awareness should be I don't know that there's too far out about that. That's different than I'm actively promoting this event. So
yes, you put it out there about a year out. How long are you actively promoting it?
Well, I don't want to skip ahead, but the short answer to that is probably anywhere in the 6 to 8 week mark. Or like anything less than 6 is going to be real problematic, particularly in the holiday season, because you're going to want to get ahead on that. But before we get into like all the specifics, there's a couple things that I would need to get right here just from a fundamental level in order to run a good event. And if you've listened to the podcast for any amount of time, you've probably heard us refer to something called PVBs, or what we would describe as perceived value builders. And there's the real bumper sticker version of this is there's 3 main categories of things in every affiliate that people like. One is the social aspect, so the parties and the get-togethers, the barbecue for Murph, your holiday party, your gym anniversary, yada, yada, yada. One is training events, competitions, workshops, if you're running some sort of strength cycle, stuff like that. And then the third one is they like the stuff. They like the upgrade to the bathrooms. You got recovery services type things. You got air runners, like that kind of stuff. And then knowing that, I would start to systematically place different flavors of events onto the calendar to scratch those itches so that I can cover everybody in the gym. So the main mistake here is typically that people like, the gym owner likes one of those, so that the gym typically does a lot of one of those things. But that's not accurate, because I'm only covering, just make the math easy, 33% of the total gym population, versus I want to cover 100%. I just want to be a little bit more systematic about it. So my recommendation for everybody, as far as like how do you throw a killer holiday party, is number one is don't do too many events throughout the year. So before we get there, we have to have the appropriate amount of things on the calendar. And this is analogous. I've talked about this in one of the lectures. You can go back and watch on the YouTube channel. Your yearly plan is your lesson plan, right? So I don't have 58 timestamps on my lesson plan. I've got some major ones. I got a break from the whiteboard brief. I've got my drop dead start time. I know when I want to start my cool down, and I want to have the general specific warm up in this area. But typically, if you look at your average lesson plan, it's probably got 6, maybe 8 timestamps on it. Nothing crazy, right? You don't need any more than that. It'll become too jumbled. It'll become too confusing. And that doesn't mean there's more breakdown for time increments in your lesson plan. And I want to go down the rabbit hole right now, but you get the idea. Your plan for the year is very similar. I don't want too many things on the calendar, because it becomes overwhelming for people. I want people to look forward to the event, and I want to be able to execute it properly, which means I need to do a little bit less. So typically what I tell people is like, if you can execute 6 high quality events annually, you're crushing, right? So for instance, if you run an in-house competition, if you run a holiday party, let's say you run your gym anniversaries far enough away from your holiday party where that could also be some sort of get together. You run a big Murph event or something of that nature, right? Something like you run a massive barbecue, right? We're at 4 right now. And then I'm going to do, we'll throw in a nutrition challenge or workshop of some sort. That's 5. Well, at this point, if you remove at least 1 month for vacation and travel and all that stuff, we're roughly in the like less than every 2 months promoting another event. Like it would be a lot. So one of the first things we do in order to run better events is we run less events, was what we recommend everybody do. The other thing we recommend doing is leapfrog the flavors of event, right? So I don't want to run social and then 2 months later run another social, and then another 2 months later run another social. I would want to have like a social, and then the next big event that we would promote would be a training event of some sort. So, you run your holiday party, and then 2 to 3 months after that, you've got your big in-house competition. You bring in people, and in-house means you just host it inside. It doesn't mean it's just for your athletes. So I think that gives a broad overview of that. And so that helps you, that sets you up for success in the sense that you can promote it properly, which is one of the core components of having a good event, is like people got to know, and they got to be excited about it.
Well, that's the big thing. They have to be excited. And I think what you're saying is, because I've seen this happen, I myself was guilty of it. It's like, that was a great party. Let's do another one next month. And you'll notice slowly over time, 50 people showing up becomes 40, becomes 30, becomes like the same 10 people. The energy, it's like having a class where the energy is not there. So
right.
What you're suggesting is absolutely do less better.
Yeah, do less better. And if you do these right, very Ken is like running a really solid class. You're not going to want to run a ton of them in a short period of time, right? You're going to just be exhausted. And what will happen is the degree with which you execute these parties or whatever these social events is going to degrade severely. Okay. So that's the first thing, is just like, make sure that we're not doing too much. The second thing is, we need to define what it is that we're referring to when we say, a social event in the gym. So I think it's always important to talk about what it is and what it's not, right? So what it's not is like, hey, we're getting together at the local brewery down the street on Thursday. That is not what we consider to be a gym event. That is an off-the-cuff gathering, which I think is awesome, but that's not something we're going to be devoting a ton of time and resources to with regard to promotion and execution. That's like, hey, I'm going to be there. Maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. But that's it. It's not like an official party, right? What we do recommend is like, if you're going to throw a banger, whatever that means for you, it should be RSVP.
What's a banger mean for you?
It means we got a bartender.
You throw some pretty, badass parties at Rife. Like if you, what is it? It's coming up around now, isn't your part? Oh no, yours is usually
It's this
October, right?
weekend. No, it's this
Oh,
weekend.
it's this weekend. You've
Well,
got your
not as of the time of this recording. It is that. Sorry,
right.
it is this weekend as of the time of this recording. Not, it will have been executed by the time this airs. But
So you're saying don't drive to Virginia Beach to crash the CrossFit Rife holiday party.
You could, but you would have to be going back in time. And at that point, I'd be happy to see you pop into my parking lot doing 88 miles an hour in a DeLorean.
So you combine your holiday party with an anniversary party, right?
Correct. And we started doing that because of what I just referenced earlier, is because our anniversary is in October. And then we don't want to do a holiday party in October, but I also don't want to do it in December, to be quite frank with you. So we just split the difference and put it in November.
And that's an important thing to let people know. Like, first of all, I believe is it Catholic holidays or Christian holidays? What do you say?
I don't really say either. It depends on what you're talking about.
Well, Christmas and Christmas Eve, I believe, are on weekends, Saturday and Sunday this year. So this immediately,
year, Christmas, this year, Christmas, both Christmas and New Year's are on weekends.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Jews just being set up for success. We got 8 days. We got all the days. This
Monday, is a bummer because like this year, like you don't even get to go holiday hours on most of these holidays this year. Like, we got to run normal gym hours during the holidays.
Yeah, but first of all, close on Christmas Eve, close on Christmas for sure. But my point being, you're losing one weekend in December immediately because of the holidays. Now, the following weekend is New Year's Eve, so you're losing the second. So if you're having this party in December, it's the 3rd, 10th, or 17th, talking 2022. They've got family.
17th is probably out, right? Because there's some sort of travel or family in town, so that's out. So you're really left with 2.
And they probably have a work party.
Right, that they'll probably have to attend.
Right.
And also, the weekend right before that is Thanksgiving.
It's tight this year. So if you're listening to this and you have not selected a date yet, I would tell you January is your best option.
Well, I was just talking to somebody else. They put it in January, and like everybody's stoked about it. Like, I think it was like January 14th or something.
Yeah, and I like that too, because you kind of got that come down from all the holiday parties. You're back in your routine, eating better again. And then, 2 weeks later, you're like, all right, I don't mind, drinking a little too much or having some, extra calories at this party. And what you want is for everyone to want to be there and show up.
So if you're talking, so we started pretty broad. So we're like, hey, how would I figure out what types of events and where to put them? Then I would define what actually would constitute an event. And now we can get into, let's start with promotion. So generally speaking, in promotion, however many times you think you need to tell people, tell them about 3 to 4 more times than that.
Yeah.
So make announcements in class, put up a poster, send out, anything between 4 to 8 different emails, inviting
social media
all over the place, just to get people generally aware. Make announcements before and after class. Do a sign up. So we typically tell people, if it's going to be a holiday party, the earlier you can do the promotion, the better, so that you can claim that spot on the calendar for people to mark off. So we do ours the weekend before Thanksgiving every year, because I typically want to get all of that done before the holiday travel nightmare starts for people. I just want to claim it and be done with it. And it works out well there, because like we always have really solid attendance. I think we're just under 100 this year. I think last year we had 120, just under 120. So it's like a slight shift in there. And going back to what I said earlier, like, make it an event. So when you're running these events, what we suggest is like, it should be something that there's a big ramp up to, and that people, if they miss it, I want them to have FOMO. I want them to be like, shit, I missed it. Okay. So put some thought into it. Now, what would that thought be? Okay. So the venue. Okay. Food, booze, music, all those things, right? So
standard party procedures.
Standard party procedures, attire, right? Like is it black tie?
Yeah, dress up, like make it unique.
Is it ugly sweater thing? Like, what are you gonna do? But like, really frame it up and put some thought into it. And I do suggest RSVP, like send those out so that you can start to build a budget for this, and the budget will help you determine how you're going to approach this, because it can cost you no money, it can cost you some money, or it can cost you a lot of money. And this is going to be entirely dependent on what you want to put into it. But it is entirely appropriate to charge people to show up to these parties if you're going to do it well. So I'll give you an example of what we do. We typically promote it about 6 weeks out, usually 8. We don't have to do as much anymore because people know, generally speaking, when it's going to be, because I think this is the 4th or 5th year that we've done this variation of it. And I think we charge $30 a head. I might be wrong. I might have been 25. I don't remember. $30 a head.
It's pretty inexpensive for what you're doing, though. I thought you would have said $50 to $75.
I have no problem. I would have no problem charging $50 for what we're doing. Zero. I was like, we budgeted for it, so we had already set money. It's paid for, whether I collect $1 or not, because we budget for it throughout the year. And so a couple things we bring in this year, we spent a little bit more money on the booze, because we basically were like, after doing it, I'm like, the staff, I'm trying to lighten the load on the staff. So we basically brought in a bartender. He brings in his own bar. He's got like a modified horse trailer he brings in, and he helps to create the drink list. So it's mixed drinks, beer, wine, the works. And he does all that. We catered it out, and then we hired a company, essentially a DJ. And most like DJ companies will do like some sort of party setup for you. So we do ours in the facility, because that does make it typically a little bit cheaper, but not always, right? If you can get a nice venue on the cheap, then I recommend you do it there, because that's cool. However, you can make the gym look really rad. Like, they come in, they set up tables, they set up the DJ, they set up a photo booth, they set up lights, they set up like all the curtains and everything. I mean, the gym looks like a club, and it's dope. And that's cool, because they get to see and experience the gym in a different light. So really put some thought into like what you want their experience to be when you do this. And that basically comes in like 3 flavors. It's just like, what is the theme, right? What is the general interaction that they're going to have while they're there? So like, what's the agenda with regard to like the open, what happens in the middle, and then how I close it? And then, or is there going to be some sort of kind of like peak or crescendo to the event, right? So at ours, we give away a handful of awards, and that's where we do those.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. But go back to that $25. Are you breaking even, or are you coming out of pocket? Hey guys, real quick, we just wanted to share a video from one of our amazing Affiliate U clients. Fern and I, along with the Best Hour team, have been able to help hundreds of affiliate owners and thousands of coaches level up and create successful businesses. And stories like this are the reason why we do it.
My name is Kate Schultz, and I am the owner of CrossFit ELC. In January of 2022, we started really looking for mentorship within our business. The adversity that COVID had created, what we were doing before couldn't withstand that adversity. We were winging it. And as Fern would say, passion has a shelf life. And we felt that at CrossFit ELC. And our passion was still there, but it was dwindling because we didn't have systems. We didn't have the other side of that scale of we are passionate and we love helping people, and this is how we do that. We were missing that piece. That's where Affiliate U came in and really changed the game for us. We were burnt out as coaches. I am a young mom, so I have two kids under 2, and running an affiliate and managing coaches and members and all of that. I had no systems in place to set me up for success in that, and I didn't have systems in place to set my coaches and my members up for success in doing that. And so Affiliate U has really bridged that gap for us and has given us the opportunity to build in systems into our affiliate in a way that works for us and in a way that puts us in a direction of success and growth for all involved. And that's been really exciting.
I believe we will not spend what we budgeted for because we're collecting money, but we will spend out of pocket money here. And I believe, if I'm doing the rough math on what we're going to be doing here, I want to say it's like a little bit under $5,000.
Wow, that's substantial. How come you don't just charge the members exactly what it costs?
Because we've fluctuated on this like over the past 5 years to try to find out like how we want to do it, to find out like, hey, generally speaking, it's going to cost. So we've done more and we've done way less. So it's like, hey, I'm just trying to offset it and figure it out. But like, I'd have no problem bumping up to $35 to $40 next year. I would have no problem with it.
Yeah, I think if you do a good job with it, your members recognize it. They're not dumb. Like, they know this is not a $25 party. If you have open bar, even just beer and wine, a DJ, food, etc. Not to mention your time, organizing it. Like you and Cassidy, Lindsay, I'm sure, all hands on deck.
Yeah. So, and the staff is there and we're there kind of greeting and doing all that kind of stuff. So that's what I think is cool about it, is like, make it an actual event, right? So with regard to making an actual event, I think there's a couple key components to it. You should have an agenda, meaning like, hey, this is when things, you should have somebody that greets, right? If you want to have a photographer there, I highly recommend it. And then if you want to do, actually might be a little bit more of that if I factor in the photographer, but I budget for that separately, like regardless of what the event is. So that was covered either way. And then like the theme. So this one's obviously a holiday party. So people are going to be dressed up in some Christmas outfits and other stuff like that. And then every year we give away a couple events, like we say a couple things. And and with regard to like what you do there, that should be unique to your gym. Right. So if you want to give away funny awards or you want to give away serious awards, like what does your gym do and what is your gym like? Do that. If you're a serious
so what awards,
gym, give away serious shit.
What do you give away?
We do a couple different like random raffles, just like random giveaways. We do a yearly attendance award that we've kind of fluctuated on, like how we do that, either a committed club or like playing around with the 225 idea, like Nicole Christensen talks about in that episode that we did with her. And then we give away one award that is unique. It's called the Susan Davis Award, and she was a very dear friend and member of ours for about 7 years, and she passed away 3 years ago, very unexpectedly. She was like the grandma of the gym. She was just a really rad lady, and it was a rough one because she had spent a ton of time on the weightlifting side, lifted at nationals and Pan Ams, and then she started in CrossFit. She took care of the kids. She tutored some of our athletes in college. Like, she was just a good human being. So we made an award that we give away in her namesake every single year, and it goes to a male and a female every year. And we have a plaque that's in the lounge. So if you're ever in the lounge, you'll see the plaque in there in those names. So they get an award, and then we put their name on the plaque as well.
And how do you earn that? Who's earning that award?
So it's typically kind of like think of it as like the Spirit of the Games award. It kind of falls in line with there is like, who's like your ideal type member in the gym, so I can say this, like, we have a member who's been with us, I think 4 or 5 years, because this will go out after the event, so it'll be known. But he was battling cancer, like he had testicular cancer, and like still shows up, so he'll be one of them. And then one of the females on the weightlifting side, who started as just kind of like a novice weightlifter, probably 6 years ago, I think. But now she's a podium contender on a regular basis at the AOs and national. But she just comes in, steady Eddie, puts in her work, super nice, always helpful, all that kind of stuff. So just like good people. But if you want to give away funny awards like never on time, has no idea what scaling means.
Chalk monster,
stinky knee sleeves guy. Like, you can give away, like last year we did a roast the coaches thing, and like some people got up there and just hammered the coaches on the microphone. It was great.
Yeah, and I think you can have a balance of both. We used to do member of the year, guy, male, female, Rookie of the Year. So they join, within 12 months, whatever that date threshold is. Spirit of the Box, and then oftentimes we did like a fun one that was voted on, because in your community, like they show up, they get a raffle ticket,
Right.
they can drop it in. Like if you do pictured frame or framed pictures of the members that are in the running and with a fishbowl or something, and they feel as if they have a part in it. But I love the Dundies, if you will, of the Rifeys, where you're giving out fun awards.
Yeah, and I think that stuff's cool. And then that can be like, how do you go about establishing those awards? That can be done like within your staff, or it can be done via the community. But either way, establish what the award means, so that way it's easier criteria for picking who those recipients are going to be. So going back to the more strategic stuff, so we talked about like how to place it on the calendar. We talked about how to determine what an event is. We talked about, like, generally speaking, how to promote it. We talked about potentially how to pay for it, and you shouldn't be afraid to do that and to charge for it. And then as far as execution, they have, like, remember, your job there is a host, right? Your job there is not to get blackout drunk and break things. Like they're in your house, whether you're hosting it offsite or at the gym. Like, you should be there as the host. The staff should be there in a host status. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. You can work around all of that. Like, we were establishing like the timeline, like how do we clean up quickly when we're done, so we don't have to do this big mess on Sunday, all that kind of stuff. And then understanding like the pre-event, which is all the promotion, the lead up, the FOMO, posting pictures from last year, talking about the awards, both internally in the class, maybe a little bit on social media, sending emails out. The intra, which is like how you actually execute the event. If you have a photo booth there, so that people can take those pictures with them and they post them on social media. You have a photographer there. You have the awards, maybe play some games, something like that. And then you have an end, right? Like, and I think people miss the end, which is like, there should be like a close to the event.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the post promotion, which is like any assets you collected, like, get them out to people so that they can share them.
Well,
it's easy promotion.
The end, at bar mitzvahs is typically, that's what friends are for. And all the little Jewish kids, put their arms around each other, sing it, and then that's the end of the party. So is that what you guys do? Is that right?
Of course.
Little Coke and Pepsi game. You play all the fun games.
Play around people on chairs. It's great.
So I think really what we've done is laid out what a solid plan looks like. And I think the biggest thing, or the biggest takeaway, should be this. It's just like a lesson plan, like you said earlier on the show. Have a plan, and it's going to be more successful than simply winging it. Because even the best laid plans, hey, we put it out there early, we've done a good job with our PVBs, we've posted it all over the place. What's happening at the event often gets like, cool, now it's party time.
Right. And I think just reframing it and thinking it as like, if you were going to run this at your office, meaning like you had a corporate job, how would that party go down there? You should run it very similarly to that, unless it's like Wolf of Wall Street and you're going to be doing all do that.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is the most inappropriate thing that you feel comfortable talking about that's ever happened at a...
I'm definitely not talking
about it,
but there are definitely some stories that everybody still kind of like talks about, just not publicly. They're just like, do you remember that time? Or like, yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, that's, and that's a good party. Like, you think back to college, that's what made a great party. Did you ever do an ice block?
No, no, not for my parties. I've done many ice luges in my day. I never purchased them.
I think that's a fun one to do. I think, and for the record, you can have a kick-ass party without alcohol at the box if you wanted to, or
likely,
make sure. But I will say there are people at your affiliate that probably don't drink. Make sure they feel comfortable. Yeah, make sure they feel comfortable attending, like, whether it's seltzers or sodas or whatnot. Make sure they don't, because I had that happen. Like, we were so much into parties back in the day that some of the folks that didn't like to party just wouldn't show up, and they were great members, but I did a bad job letting them know, hey, you're still welcome here. Like just because we're
And
drinking and doing Fran doesn't mean you have to.
right. And there's a couple things like just things to watch out for with regard to that. You already mentioned one, which is like don't have just booze, like have water, have, like seltzer water, sodas if you want to have those, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to food, factor in, like, don't just buy a bunch of random stuff. Like you should think about food allergies. Like it's very likely that like somebody there has a gluten allergy. So like think about the menu and could I serve the full spectrum of people here? Is there food out here that somebody could have, a decent meal, with regard to dietary restrictions, like their gluten allergies? Like, so if it's all breaded stuff, that's going to be a nightmare.
Do either of your kids have a nut allergy?
No, they're nuts.
They're strong.
They don't have a nut allergy. Yeah.
They're strong. Yeah. Remember, Zach Forrest tell us about how his kid had a nut allergy, and he was giving, I think it was a daughter, a little bit of nuts.
Zach Forrest's kids?
Oh no, it wasn't Zach Forrest. It was Kyle Kasperbauer. I always think those two are the same people.
Oh,
when we were in,
I could see that,
Wisconsin, right, for the summit.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, so I started giving her peanuts, and the doctor was like, well, she doesn't have a nut allergy anymore. What'd you do? And he's like, gave her nuts. So
right.
Evidently it works. That's not doctor advice. That's not medical advice right there.
Yeah, because you're not a doctor. The other thing to consider there is the floor plan. So if you're going to have tables, my suggestion is do standing high tops. Like if you want people to
gets people to mingle,
people to interact, gets people to mingle. And then if you can, like, have somebody DJ, it's just easier that way. Parties are always better when you have somebody fully dedicated to the music.
Do you hire that person?
Yeah, we have a hire company that come in. It's like a local DJ company here. They do weddings and do all that kind of stuff, but they come in and they set up all the high tops. They do all the lighting. They do all the sound, everything.
Do you close?
I think the event is like 3 hours.
Do you close for Saturday classes prior to the party?
No, because they won't start set up till the afternoon. And then that actually is another good point there too to think about is make sure you plan appropriately for setup. Also, I'm going to give everybody some advice, which is not advice that I've not taken earlier in my life.
Cancel Sunday?
Definitely cancel Sunday if you have open gym on Sunday. Can't end the party earlier than you think it should be ended. And this is kind of like what they teach in CrossFit kids is like end it before it's over. Again, I want to leave them wanting, but if the party goes too long, then it just evolves into a shit show. And while it might make for a funny story, it won't make for a good event.
Yeah.
So like
a couple people having a fun story.
People, right. If you want to shuffle people to another establishment post party, that's a better option than having the thing extend throughout the night. And then you're really going to open up yourself to liability with regard to that. So end it before it's over. It'll be easier for everybody. And then if you guys want to meet up somewhere afterwards, then go do that. Like that's where ours typically goes. Just like starts there, it ends there earlier, like 9 or 10. And then everybody will go to another bar afterwards, at which point things get a little sideways. But like, again, that's adults doing adult things.
Marcus and I did send you,
if you can
sent you a gift certificate. Are you going to use that gift certificate exclusively for alcohol?
I might.
Yeah.
Old fashions.
So that's a lot of old fashions.
Yeah, it depends on where you buy them. So that, and then, obviously encourage people to be responsible, right? So if you have some sort of hookup with Uber or something like that, like make sure people do that, because people.
Yeah, I think that goes, without saying, maybe not, but yeah, make sure everybody knows. But the cool thing about that after party idea is, the people like me who are like, cool, 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go home and go to bed, had a great time. They don't feel like they're leaving early. And the people that want to burn it down, a la you, Cassidy, Lindsay, right? You keep it going. Well, that's it. We nailed it. And I think if you're listening, like we said, it's probably a little late to do one before the end of this year, but it's not too late. I'd say if you're listening to this live, you can do it January 14th, that weekend, or even the weekend after, but have a plan. No different than showing up for class. So, and then, like Ferd said, if you want to go back in time, I'll see you at the party.
Yeah, there, and Jay will have the necessary things for you to go back in time. But yeah, listen, just rethink how you run your events and make them something that people would be really hesitant to miss and have FOMO if they missed out on that. And then think about like, what would a great host be like? Think about the pre-promotion, think about the intra event, and then think about the post event aspect of that. And we've outlined quite a few things here that would do that. And make it unique. Again, make it unique to your gym. And that's what really makes it special. It's what makes it a staple event that people are looking forward to year after year. Because if you do this really well, it is something that people look forward to. And ultimately, that's what you want. This is how you foster community, how you welcome in new people and celebrate both the new and the old people, meaning like your veteran members. So I hope this helps. Do not call Jay for any party planning tips. That's not his gym. But at the end of the day, we know, whether you know it or not, you're the lead, you're the head honcho of a community if you own a box, and you should treat it as such. So, and this is one way to really up your game. And there's a lot of different examples of people doing this well out there. So you don't have to take just our advice, but we hope we've outlined something that's very tangible for you to be like, okay, I understand how to start to frame this up so I can, really, really throw a kick-ass party. And if you don't have time to do it this year, hey, you know what? There's next year and the year after that and 10 years from now. Think about that and think about how cool it would be to throw your 20-year CrossFit affiliate anniversary.